Welcome to our series, Dyin,
Cryin,
and Lyin on Two Luckies,
the podcast. Season 2, episode 21, Soldiers Return. And before we get started, we have a shout out for Susie Q.
Susie Q.
Yay!
Woo-hoo.
She's been Susie in the queue for longer than most people Susie Q, but she's still Susie Qing, and she keeps going on, and she's going to keep going on, and we're happy you do.
We are very happy you do, and we dedicate this episode to you.
And it's looking like it's going to have categories, so that's even better.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! So we see this guy in a wagon, and he's going down a hill, and there is this harmonica music. But he definitely had both hands on the reins. And all I could think of was he got it in his mouth. And when he gets down the hill, and we see Laura Mary are walking home, and he's got this, I don't know what that was. He's got some kind of frame that held it up in front of his mouth. So while he's driving this wagon, he's got this harmonica like up against his mouth playing it while he's going.
Yeah, I remember seeing rock bands in the 70s and 80s, and when people played the harmonica, they had those things, they're draped around their neck, and it kind of holds it in front of their face, but they usually grab it with their hands. This guy was pretty...
No, like, from a distance, I was thinking, what does he have an inside of his mouth he's playing it? And the way he was playing it kind of sounded that way. But... he gets complimented on his pretty music, and immediately Laura makes me, I really enjoy Laura's character. She goes right around to the back of this wagon, puts her lunch pail and her books in there, and starts playing around with all these musical instruments he's got back there. And we find out that he is the son of Mrs. Whipple, the seamstress in town, and Mary works for Mrs. Whipple. So they are all excited about how excited Mrs. Whipple's going to be for her son coming home. And he said he had been there before and things had really changed, but...
yeah, how much can change from dirt roads to...
she lives in town, though. Like, town has been in town for, like, the whole time there's been a town, so I'm not really sure what's going on with that. But the minute he was on that thing coming down that hill, I just started laughing, and I've been laughing ever since.
We did learn his name is Granville.
Oh, yes, and his name is Granville, and he is trying to find where his mother lives. So how long has it been since he's seen her? We're about to find out. It seems like it's been a long time, and she doesn't seem like she's expecting him to show up at all because Mary works closely with Mrs. Whipple. It's just the two of them.
Right.
So, I mean, if she said, oh, she talks about you all the time, but she didn't talk about him showing up. So this must be a surprise. Well, Granville gets off that wagon with a limp. Mrs. Whipple, who looks like she is not expecting anyone, comes running outside saying, Granville, my son. And after a very long, awkward hug, it was very long, over a fence, awkward hug, they go inside. She's been using his dressers to store some of her sewing things. She cleans that out, and he sees his bugle from the war. That's where he got injured, and it's on the bedpost.
It's on the bedpost. They start playing some eerie music, and you can see the PTSD rolling around on his face.
And she asks if it bothers him, and he says no, and we know immediately that's a Lyin, because the music told us it was something different. That music was spooky and scary, and we know that gave him some heebie-jeebies just looking at that thing. But now... she's getting ready. She's going through all of his things and putting them away, and she finds some kind of metal tin with a metal inside of it and some morphine. And he says he only keeps enough around to just know that it's there, and he hasn't used it in 9 months, and that's the truth. And I got a feeling that's a lie, but we can't call that one yet. And when she turns around saying the worst part about the whole thing was she couldn't get to see him, she starts crying. So we knew this was going to be one of them. They're going to give us all of our categories, we think, in this episode, and they're starting us off right.
Yeah, they sure are. And I will say, we did learn that he was in the war. He was injured in the war, something with his leg.
And won a medal.
And it seems like she's mentioned something about the doctors saying it wouldn't be his fault that the medicine was so addictive. So
yeah, if he craved the medicine, it wouldn't be his fault. And morphine, I guess, has that kind of effect.
Not even 10 minutes in, into it, and they're setting us up for some biggies.
Yes, they are. We think this is because also this is the end of the season, so they have to bring it now so we remember stuff to come back for season 3.
Well, we have one more after this, but this is the final 2.
That's what I mean. We're at the end of the season. They have to get us going here so we come back for season 3. So we think that this one's going to be a good one.
The scene is shifted to the little house, and we have, for our report, Pa's in the Christmas shirt.
Yay!
We've got the pipe.
We got the pipe, and now Laura's going to be learning how to play the fiddle. So we got all 3 of Charles's, things that he does.
The only thing we were missing was Carrie.
No, we did get a Carrie report, though, because Laura is old enough to put Carrie to bed. That's how she got the fiddle lessons.
Why we didn't see it.
So she got the fiddle lessons because she said she's old enough to put Carrie to sleep and do all her chores. She's old enough to learn how to play the fiddle, and we've been waiting for the fiddle for some time. And then when Laura is asked what she is studying for history, she gives us a category. We got a Dyin because they're studying dead people. She said, we're studying the same old thing, dead people. So thank you, Laura. You gave us a category and everybody stayed alive in the room.
And the update on Granville, we found out that he's been in Philadelphia and he's been away from home for the last 12 years.
Yeah, and he played in an orchestra and he was teaching music there. And that Mrs. Whipple had traveled all the way to Philadelphia to see him because I guess once he got hurt, he was in the hospital and he stayed there he stayed in Philadelphia pretty much. That was it.
They're gearing us up.
They are. Well, Granville is laying in bed in his old bedroom looking at that bugle, and he is struggling to stay away from that morphine. And we get a flashback of the war.
Yep.
And he is running away from all of these bombs that are being thrown at him, which I think anybody would run away from that. Somebody touches him on the shoulder. He runs away from them, and when he turns around, it's somebody who is actually...
Looked like it was somebody that was part of his unit that started running towards him, and then he got blown up.
And that was a Dyin, even though it was in a flashback, and this is a fictional story, and even though the war was not fictional, this is a fictional story, so keep that in mind. But we got categories, and that poor guy who was running after him was Dyin, and now the next day he goes to the Mercantile with his mother, and he's posting up an advertisement for 50 cents for music lessons, and he will furnish the instruments. And Mrs. Olson is over the moon for some culture in Philly. She's all starry-eyed of that he was from Philadelphia, and she says that he won't find many parents that are interested in this kind of thing, and that she's the only one that has any musical training. She's trained in voice, and now Willie and Nellie are going to be getting lessons from Mrs. Whipple's son.
I can only imagine how that's going to turn out. I will point out, though, Mrs. Olson, she was wearing the Christmas fabric of the Chaz Christmas shirt.
Yes, she has a dress made out of the same fabric as Charles's Christmas shirt. She's got the dress version because they probably got the fabric from the Mercantile to have it. She probably had Mrs. Whipple make it from that fabric.
True. And let's not forget, too, that Willie has the season 1 Chaz.
Yeah, he has his own little uniform now, and it really is cute. He looks like a little shrinky Chaz, and we think it's cute.
So Nellie's the first one to take lessons, and looks like she was playing a flute. And it's at the Whipple's home, and that's when Granville was already there. Mrs. Whipple and Mary had walked in. She was doing a sewing project.
Mary makes money for sewing for Mrs. Whipple.
And Nellie, being Nellie, has to brag on herself, and she won't have to practice as long as what this guy is telling her to practice for, because she's better than everybody else, and music's more important, and blah, 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 and it's just horrible the way she goes on.
Well, she looks down on Mary because Mary is there for work. She's making money by sewing for Mrs. Whipple, and Nellie is there as a paying student of music, and she feels that makes her somehow superior. But we need Nellie to needle people so that we get these kind of reactions.
Even though Mary schools Nellie in school all the time.
Yeah, they are like the top 2. I think they're the top 2 students, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're very frequently competing against each other for awards and stuff in school.
Mary's also older, too. But as it turns out, Granville offers to give Mary lessons when he says, maybe you should learn something. And she, of course, Mary being Mary, I can't afford lessons. He says, I'll tell you what, if you write music for me, I'll give you free lessons. And the first thing I'm thinking of is, wow, you're already doing all this sewing and the chores and the homework. Now you're going to be taking on not only practicing of an instrument, which takes its own time.
Learning
now
how
you
to
have
read
to
the
write,
music and writing
now
music
you've got to
out.
write the music, and as he put it, the more students he gets, the more work it's going to be. And she's like, I don't care.
She's
do
all
it.
excited. He takes out this little keyboard thing. I'm not sure what it was called, but it was like portable.
Looked like he said, a little concertina.
Yeah, I think it's called a concertina, but it has like a very toy piano kind of sound. But it's an older sound that they don't really use much anymore. But so she's all excited to learn an instrument, but hopefully she's able to keep up with. This is a lot to ask of somebody.
All I know is they're gearing up for some categories.
They are. Well, Pa is sitting there on a log with that Christmas shirt on, watching Laura cringe as she takes she's taking her lessons for the fiddle, and she is making a noise that is making her cringe. And as they're in the middle of this lesson, and she's told that she needs to practice every day, which is the same thing that Nellie was told by Mr. Whipple, Mary comes running down the hill. She missed Laura's lesson, and then they find out that she was given, it's a toy piano. So
that's what she said.
She did say it was a toy piano. She demonstrated it. She showed that she was able to start to be able to read the music, which was something that Charles had said he knows how to play the fiddle, but he doesn't know how to read music. And he was all excited to be able to thank this guy for, letting her work for lessons. And we find out from Ma that she had run into them in town, and they are coming to supper on Saturday.
He is over the moon with this. So he picks up that fiddle, and that's the first time he starts fiddling in I don't know how many episodes.
It's been a long time, and the last time I feel like he fiddled, it was a sad song.
This was very sad.
This was something happy too, and he was excited to have a city musician come and see how he compares against a country musician like him.
Return of the Fiddle.
Return of the Fiddle. We've been waiting for the fiddle too.
Saturday night at the Ingalls, and we got a regular hoedown happening outside the front door. It's dark out, and you have Mr. Whipple playing a banjo and old Chaz on the fiddle, and he's not holding it like a normal fiddle, under his chin. He's holding it up to his chest.
It was very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen him hold it like that.
But they're going at it, and it was like the mini battle of the bands, and they're playing along together, and then Mr. Whipple starts amping up the speed of the song and going faster and faster until Chaz finally has to give way, and he can't keep up with him anymore, and he was bested.
And he broke a string, Charles.
And he broke a string.
But I did enjoy the sequence of the headless playing that we got to see. They showed who was supposed to be Charles playing his fiddle. Like, he was holding it down closer to his belly button than he was up by his chin, so that they could avoid showing who was playing, because you're seeing like this masterful, skilled playing back and forth. And then the banjo's the same thing. You see everybody else in the background, but Granville in the front, you only saw him from like the neck down playing, because they had to go back and forth with this dueling banjo kind of thing that they were doing. And he fixes Charles's string.
He had an extra string.
And we were thinking it was probably difficult to get strings back then, and they were probably made out of natural materials. I don't think they had metal strings back then, did they?
I think they were usually animal gut, maybe.
I feel like they were some kind of natural something or other. And then he fixes the string for him and says that Mary is the best student that he has, and he knew that she came from a musical family. And I guess Mary has been going around enlisting all of the kids in school that were able to pay for lessons, and he has a lot of students now.
He's got a lot of work, and he's saying, things have never been better for him, and which we're going to have to call a Lyin, because it's obvious he's hooked on the morphine and has some serious PTSD.
Yeah, he's not doing as well as he's saying he's doing, although his business, I guess, life is doing well. And he mentioned about how Walnut Grove, there really wasn't much there when he had lived there 12 years ago.
Just a few farms.
And now he's finding it to be what he had always been looking for. So all this time he had been looking for what he found in Walnut Grove. Well, we've seen this one before, so we won't spoil too much about spoiling. But that's what's happening right now.
They're going to bring it.
Well, Mrs. Olson is setting up her children to play while she is peeking out into the mercantile. They have their own residences are attached to the store. Nels is out there behind the counter. Mrs. Whipple and her son, I guess he is Mr. Whipple.
Mr. Whipple
came in, and here's Harriet. She's got them standing there with their music stands to practice. And I will say, Nellie seems like she's doing pretty well with the flute, but oh boy, Willie is playing this trombone, and oh my goodness gracious. So the two of them together, it was an interesting sound. And she comes out and says, "Oh, I didn't know you were here." And we know that's a Lyin, because you were just peeking at them through the door before they even, you even started them playing. He mentions about how they were playing. He does not mention Willie. He only mentions how Nellie is doing well. And then Willie starts saying, "I never wanted to play this horn anyway." So we already knew that by the way he was playing it. But then, of course, the kids start fighting. She has to go over there and take care of that. And in walks a woman with her son, with her 12-ish year old son. I would say he's 12.
Yeah, somewhere
and
around
it turns out that she is the wife of the other bugler that we saw in the flashback scene who died while he was in the war.
Yes.
And this kid wants to be a bugler. He wants to be in the military. He wants to be like his father. He wants to learn how to play the bugle. He wants to get lessons from Mr. Whipple to play the bugle. But while they were talking about, we did get a category because they were talking about how this child's father had been dying in the war, and he wanted to talk to Mr. Whipple about it, and how his father had said all of these wonderful things about Mr. Whipple, and he did not want any part of it. He tries to walk out of the mercantile and get away. The kid follows him.
Yeah, the kid wants to take bugle lessons from him, and you could see the triggered look on his face, and he's like, "I don't really like the bugle much anymore."
Well, that I think was honest, but he did say that his bugle was beyond playing, which it was not, and the kid already has his own bugle from his father. So his father's bugle was sent back just like this guy's bugle was sent back when he got hurt. So the father's bugle had been sent back to him. Yeah. So he did give a Lyin because we know his bugle worked. We saw it. It works. He just doesn't want to play it, which we understand why he doesn't want to play it. But he lied to the kid when he said that he didn't have a functioning bugle, because he does.
Right, because they're getting ready to unearth a little more of this story.
Yeah, they're getting there.
A little bit more to it.
They're taking, but they are hitting our categories. They have hit
big time.
We have already had a Cryin. We've had quite a few Lyings, and we've had a bunch of mentioning of dying.
Thank you, writers.
Thank you, writers. You remembered us. Well, if Granville's been staying away from the morphine, it caught up with him last night, because there he was sleeping in that bed with that bugle hanging off the post on the bed that he's sleeping in. He grabs it off of the post. He looks over by that box where he had that little bit of morphine that he just keeps around just to know he doesn't need it. And he drops the bugle on the floor, walks over to it, and the next day he is ready to leave the house. He was putting some kind of sugar, it looked like, into the paper. They used to
it was like a white powder out of a sugar bowl.
Yeah, it looked like powdered sugar or something like that. And he even spilled a little bit and wiped it up with his foot. And he puts it back into the container that he had it in. So I don't know. I thought it would be interesting that his mother would be checking on his morphine supply, but that's what he did. He went over to the store. He's supposed to be having a lesson with Nellie. She was concerned, his mother, why are you going over to the store now? He was very, very terse. He's very...
it looks like he's...
having withdrawal or something. He's very, very grouchy.
The DTs.
And when Mary comes in with the papers that this is the first time that she had written eighth notes, he barely looks at the paper and starts yelling at her that she did it wrong, that she wasted the paper, and he'll find somebody else to do it. If there's only one way to write music, and that's the right way. And he gets all grouchy. He goes over, and we find out it's something interesting from Nels.
Yeah, he went over
was asked
there
for morphine and laudanum, which were some pretty heavy-duty painkillers at the time. They had that in the regular store back then.
Yeah, they're sitting there on the shelf in the mercantile, but apparently Nels said they haven't carried any of that stuff for at least a year, and that was at the request of Doc Baker.
Because they're easy to get hooked on, and once you get started with them, unless you're monitored, you can really get yourself in trouble. And now he's very upset that he has to go ask Doc Baker for this stuff. And he just leaves in the middle of Nels trying to talk to him. I mean, I was really kind of surprised at the
He
thought
gave
that
the
they
old
kept
Irish
this.
goodbye.
But you used to just be able to. He said, "I've never heard of any store that didn't carry this stuff," and it's like, oh my goodness! But
I
then
never heard of a store that did.
isn't that exactly? I mean, here we are on the other side of the timeline here going, why? What do you mean you could just walk in the store and get this stuff without any kind of medical professional telling you anything? But now he has to go find Doc Baker. And I do find it interesting. He's been in town now for a couple of weeks. He lives in town with Mrs. Whipple. He didn't know that Doc Baker was on the other side of the post office.
Yeah, their town is literally one street that's probably less than a quarter of a mile long.
Yeah, but
with all the buildings involved.
All of these buildings are really close together.
Which are like what, 6 buildings?
I mean, he was able to walk to the Mercantile and back before a lesson because he said he had a few minutes. He didn't say I have a half an hour or an hour. He only had a few minutes to go do this. But now he is very purposefully limping across the town square so that he can get over there and get his morphine from Doc Baker.
He's tweaking.
He kind of is, yeah.
Well, Mr. Whipple looks like he's on his way over to Doc Baker, and that kid is carrying his bugle and approaches him. And once again, he really wants to learn how to play this thing, except this time Mr. Whipple kind of tweaks out on him and grabs a hold of him and says, look,
He's
told you,
shaking him.
I'm not interested. I'm not going to teach this. And then you can see like had a flash come over him. Then he's hugging the kid and saying he's sorry, but this kid is like definitely spooked. I think he even dropped the bugle at some point during that, picks it up and runs away. But then we get over and see Doc Baker, and sure enough, yeah, he had surgery on his leg. He asked the doc for morphine, and when he said no, all of a sudden it's, you doctors don't understand. You caused the problems, but you don't know what you got us into, and you can kind of see where they were going with that, the back and forth. But the fact that he told Doc Baker, I haven't taken morphine in the last 9 months, and we're going to call that Lyin. Why?
Because Doc Baker says, I look at your hand. I know what morphine does for people, and you're over here shaking from the morphine. He says the only way to get past this morphine addiction that he has is to fight it. And he tries to give him, I was laughing because I said it was probably aspirin. It's some kind of new prescription that they're doing in Rochester. And he wants him to try this new prescription. And this guy wants nothing to do with it. He's going to find his own way. But he got very, very angry with Doc Baker. And he's been very angry.
Yeah,
And I do think this kind of came on between the bugle. Maybe he was clean for 9 months, but between seeing the bugle and the child of the man that was also a bugler with him who died, looks just like him.
There's still something they're not telling us under the surface.
Yeah, there definitely is, but he has been very, very aggressive all of a sudden. Now, Mary's sitting over by some body of water, and Pa comes over and he's telling her it's time to come in for supper or something like that. And he asks about the little toy piano, and she says she left it at the Whipples because she's not going to be doing lessons anymore. She doesn't want to do lessons, and that why doesn't this guy like her? Because then she starts crying because she is telling Charles that, he doesn't like her anymore, and he got so angry about the way that she had done the music paperwork, and he was very upset about it. And now Charles actually was pretty good. He did press her at first, but then she kept talking, and then he was saying, like, well, if I knew kind of what you were talking about, it would be easier for me to help you. He says that Mr. Whipple has had a lot of hardship in his life, and that you have to be somewhat patient and understanding.
Have to be patient with him. And maybe Chaz was a little patient too, because he's still in the Christmas shirt.
He is in the Christmas shirt the entire episode. The entire episode so far has been the Christmas shirt. But then we find, all of a sudden we're at night, we're inside of Doc Baker's office, and in the unlocked cabinet, here comes Mr. Whipple. He comes limping in there. He grabs every single bit of the morphine that Doc Baker had.
Out.
It looked like 30 packets of it. They had him in these folded pieces of paper. It looked like they made packets out of that. While he is back in his room, he had taken the morphine. Now he has another flashback, and we see that when his friend, the fellow bugler who had the son who looks just like him that's still in town, was laying there, I guess he kind of got up disoriented because the big explosion that took out his friend, had kind of blown him into the bushes. I mean, he was like in the brambles of it.
Yeah.
He got up, went to go check on him, and saw his friend's eyes, and he held onto his uniform, and he actually pulled away from his hand to get away from him.
The friend was trying to grab at him, and I'm telling you that there's something that's still under the surface that hasn't come to light yet, but something's really troubling this guy, and he is heading downhill quick.
He really is. And I'm starting to feel like he found his friend alive, but let's face it, what was he going to do for him in this environment? And he ran away from him for some reason, which we don't really know we're not exactly sure what's going on. But he took a whole bunch of that morphine from Doc Baker's office.
Oh, you can tell he's tripping big time.
Oh, he's sweating. He's like huddling under the blankets. He's having a hard time. Well, the next morning, Mrs. Whipple's trying to bring her son some tea, finds out that he has now all of these packets. He left it all over the room.
They were just open right by the bedside, and he looked like he was passed out in the bed. She took the packets, and she was just about to burn them in the fireplace, and all of a sudden, he appears right behind her. Don't do it, Ma.
And while he is crying, he explains what we were already suspecting, that the only reason that he was alive in this regiment that he was in was because he ran. Everyone else that was with him died.
Yes, as soon as the cannon started firing, he ran, and his friend, whose son is the one that's in town, tried to stop him from running, but he ran away from him and hid. And when he came back after, he was just laying there, and he said he felt the death's touch on his hand. So that's what he's been holding on to. He's got a Medal of Valor, and he sees himself as a big coward.
Well, he's been called a hero, and he was saying that running, I guess, I don't know much about the military's rules, but running was punishable by death, and that he wasn't a hero at all. He was a coward.
It's a shame, really.
Yeah, but now he's saying that he needs to go tell the son of the man that he ran away from back then. He needs to tell him something. He has to do it right now. And he kisses his mother because she wants him to stay. She wants him to be healthy. She wants him to get away from this morphine. She realizes, she seems like she knows that he's had a problem with morphine this whole time.
Yeah.
And she was saying, you were doing so well. And he did explain that coming back, being in town again, seeing this child of his friend brought everything back, and it made it really difficult for him. But we're getting a feeling like this was kind of like a last goodbye kind of kiss, but we're going to find out.
Well, let's see what happens.
Let's see it.
Morning time in town, and we see Doc Baker coming into the office just as Chaz is coming through. And
in the season 1 indestructible shirt.
Season 1. And that's when Doc Baker calls over Chaz because he sees that he was broken into and finds out that his morphine stash is gone.
And he immediately knew who the suspect was.
Goes over and talks to Mrs. Whipple, and she tells them all that, what had happened, and he was heading out to speak with that kid about the kid's father. And Doc Baker seemed very concerned about it, and I think he was the one that got Chaz to go out because he was supposed to be back hours ago.
It was only supposed to take an hour out
to get
and back.
there and back.
Right.
And it'd been
so
hours
he should have been back
afterwards.
hours ago.
So Mrs. Whipple and Chaz go out looking for him on the road, and unfortunately, they did have a category of
Dyin and Cryin. They brought it for us. They definitely did. It does look like Granville. They found his horse. It looks like a tree fell on him while he was stopping to take the morphine, which is a really crazy way for that to happen.
Like the tree fell on him, and all you saw was his hand sticking out from under it.
And he was still holding the morphine powder
packet. So then they fast forward over to the funeral service, and
that's where we had the crying.
After all of that, more crying, but we had bugling going on, and it was the son of the first fallen soldier.
The one who wanted the bugling lesson somehow knew how to play the bugle, and
he figured it out pretty quick.
He really
did a good job.
He did a good job, and we were like, wait, why did he want lessons when he knew how to play already? But that was that.
I mean, the topic was very sad, but I gotta say, for the writers, since this was a fictitious story that happened here, we had the trifecta happen this time.
This one brought it. We had Dyin, Cryin, and Lyin all over the place.
And just in time, as the season premiere is going to be coming up on the next episode, and that's going to wrap up season 2. So make sure you join us for that episode, which is called Going Home.
Ooh, Going Home, and that is the last episode of season 2.
That wraps up
we're at the
season
end
2.
of season 2 already.
Hard to believe.
It is.
And that concludes this episode on Dyin
Cryin.
and Lyin on Two Luckies.
Two Luckies,
The podcast.
We release these weekly, and there's a whole bunch of them out already, so go check them out.
We'll see you the next time.
We're out.
Two Luckies, the podcast.
Two Luckies, the podcast. Two Luckies, the podcast.
You made it to the end.
You stayed.
Fun fact time.
Fun fact is our next episode, which is the end of season 2, so the next episode that we record, not this one, the next one, is going to be our 50th episode.
5-0.
We've done 49 episodes. Like, I was very surprised by that when I just heard that just a few minutes ago. So that's our fun fact for you.
And we thank you for staying with us.
Thank you for staying, and let people know if you like us. Let us know if you like it. Please, we'd appreciate it. Thanks for staying.